Well, I wouldn't say that I'd been shocked or disappointed, but admittedly I'd been kind of confused. I talked with Rolf, and he said he couldn't meet me on the 1st of May. And when I actually met him before, I said, "What's the reason you're going to the events on the 1st of May, or the occasion there?" Yeah, he said, "And where are you going?" "Well, to Kreuzberg." "So Kreuzberg is the place to go to?" Well, what do I know? So I asked him. Yeah, it's a kind of festival. It's since the first kind of anarchist events there, it's escalated up and down and off and on, and it's in the meantime something people go to, and it's a celebration. There are barbecues and this and that, and well, as I said first, when I started this, I had been disappointed, but I'd been surprised. Is that what 1st of May, what May Day is about? Isn't it about the parades and all this stuff? The fight of the working class and the manifestation of political will? The world is full of contradictions. I saw this before, and if you look at the photo, yeah, it's full of contradictions. It's to go and to stay. It's to move on, to get something and move forward. And yeah, it's something more than that. It's moving, it's staying. It's a world full of contradictions. And the funny thing is, on the one hand, 1st of May is about fighting the contradictions, getting over it, and at the same time it is, why not celebrating them, but acknowledge them and saying, yes, they're there, and we have to live with them, and we have to fight them. As I said at the beginning of this little series, it should be not least about people making history in daily life, linking, of course, to the conditions as we find them, but making history, doing it as we live and as we make a living. And it's the small things we usually don't think about, at least not in terms of history, in huge terms. And I didn't think about it. The 1st of May, I had to change a shirt, took a white shirt out of the drawer, and only later, much later actually, I remembered, or I recognized it had been the shirt I had been wearing, I don't know when, was it 2 years ago? It was the 1st of May, that's what I remember. And May Day, when I had been gathering with so many other people in Havana. A great event, a mix actually of this manifestation, a political manifestation, and at the same time, at the very same time, people's gathering, celebrating, being aware of simply we are alive, we are people, and we are resisting in our daily life, resisting in what we are doing resisting a flow of history that is actually against us. Against us in terms of self-determination, sovereignty, looking back, it's a kind of strange remembrance, and it's something where I'm kind of always struggling with it. On the one hand, this quasi spiritual level of fighting for progress and making huge history, and at the same time the smallness of life, where, as Sabine said the other day, if we ask for it, if we ask what is the sense, what is the meaning of it, we just hesitate and we don't know. We even refuse to ask this question or to realize that it is a relevant question. Facing sickness, facing daily struggles, facing the small things and not seeing them at all as part of huge history. How should we? How should we, when we are working, whatever we are working, how should we think about it in terms of being part of this huge flow of history since ancient times, being there as a shopkeeper, working every day the same work. But still, isn't there something of we are doing this for ourselves, or we are doing it for the customer, for the co-citizen? Consumo ergo sum. Yes, I'm consuming and therefore I am. But still there's this how I do this, what the meaning is, that is actually meaningful in terms of large scale, and where at least to some extent we can decide what we mean by it, the clothes we wear, the way we wear them. Pierre Bourdieu comes to my mind as something, yes, it is history. Affirmative, revolutionary, reforming, resisting. There are different facets to it, and sometimes I'm not sure if we are actually not doing something, many of us, all of us, where we all have our little resistance, where the problem, if we want, is that we don't come together. And having said this is the excitement of such a day, 1st of May Day, where we come together, where we just live together with strangers. This idea of, yes, we are one people, and we just want to enjoy life, ourselves, and ourselves being together with others. We don't want to fight against each other, knowing too well that we have to do it. Next day, for whatever strange reason, we are fighting against each other again. Forced doing so. Sometimes I think, yes, we are just forced. We have to do what is required. We don't have a choice really to think about it. And sometimes looking at so many people, small people, if you want, if we use the terminology, small people, so great in their life. Well, maybe that I'm getting old and thinking too much about these things. But sometimes I think this is what we did as young people, as youth. We found this meaning in so many little things. A friend of mine learning now for any stupid reason French. Stupid reason, I say, because she's not obliged to do it. She just does it because she wants to. The same as she learned Latin, without having to do it, without any obligation, without having any obligation or even advantage out of this. It's so great to see so many people doing it. And it's such a shame then to see how this willingness, this eagerness is destroyed or hindered or, I don't know, suffocated by this idea of making a career, by this idea of avoiding conflict. I'm just going through such a conflict again at the moment. Well, just it's an overlap. The one was, as I mentioned, getting into this accommodation, getting into this flat, because some other person had been in there and claiming this is his right, and it's only his right. And now, even after leaving or when leaving, he said something of, it's my generosity of, he didn't say of allowing you to claim your right, but this is what he actually implicitly said. Still thinking it is his right and his right alone. But leaving this aside, the other is about qualification. A student whom I kind of marked down, I wouldn't say marked down, it was a realistic judgment, and now there is a discussion about it. Is it right? And it's a funny situation where actually the colleague says, yes, you are right, it had been great work, and the but is then a matter of reputation, a matter of how to get on within the system. Now, I won't say what I tend to say on this occasion, this reputation. I won't use this F word. Is the reputation more about a P word, a professional standard that we step and that we defend, where we say this is the thing to do, this is the standard we have to maintain, or we have to reach to move forward? And there are so many people who want to go ahead, who accept others as well. Small scenes. I remember it had been 20 or now 30 years ago when I did something that I thought would be very bold, and in a way it was very bold, changing nappies. At that time, there was only one choice. Well, I could have, there was another choice, I could have done it on the table in the restaurant, but this was not really a choice. So what did I do? The only thing I could do, going to the ladies' toilet, bathroom. And of course I knew there is this kind of corridor there, entrée, where I didn't really obstruct things, offend people. But still it was a kind of strange thing. Nowadays there are neutral places between the toilets, changing facilities, or there are facilities on the female and the male toilet. So small things, and still I guess they are important. Notwithstanding that we still need a revolution, that we really need a revolutionary act, or many of the revolutionary acts. And it had been a kind of revolutionary act, every day's revolutionary act. When I recently passed the Alexander Square, you remember Alfred Dublin, but this was another one. This was the late one, many years after Dublin wrote his piece, and there is still one remarkable monument. I think it is more remarkable than the TV tower. I think it is more remarkable than so many large monuments like the Brandenburger Tor or things like it. It's the world time clock, the weltzeituhr. It's difficult to understand it if you are not into astronomy. But it is really about showing the different times, time zones, linked, attributed to cities, and linked at the same time to the universe, planets and stars and what you have there. I think it is remarkable. I already thought so when I visited this square the first time coming. Then from Leipzig, where I studied, people still wondering that I could study there and that I did it. It had been the time when there had been 2 Germanys, and I studied in 2 Germanys. And now people are standing there shouting, was it in 1989? We are one people. And what they probably actually meant is, we are those people standing here at the World Time Square, if you want, at the World Time Clock, and saying, yes, we are one people on this world. And this is our greatness, of being able to recognize this. And this is our greatness of recognize it against these hegemons who are still driving to war, like Mr. Trump, and who are still obstructing migration flows by establishing what they call a welcoming culture, establishing it while actually undermining that it really happens. I started this little thing with pointing on contradictions. The stand and go, the coffee shop, you can get the coffee there standing and having the coffee, and you can get the coffee to go. And this is exactly this of the welcoming culture, the supposed welcoming culture. We have these large words of, yes, we are welcoming, and we are obliged, we are committed to welcome these people, to giving them a home, and then to see what a friend of mine faces. Yes, he is welcoming. Yes, he accommodates refugees, Schengen refugees, and he is in danger doing so. He's in danger because this welcoming culture in practice is something that is actually not allowed. Welcoming culture in the terms of many politicians is about making large words and not allowing even small acts to follow. And this is something where I think we may have to change, recognizing the greatness of these small acts, while at the same time rejecting to enter the theatre play of large words, of playing theatre on large scales, large stages. La Scala, one of these large stages, which is really a great stage. La Scala is about the stairs. And if stages, large or small, are part of stairs moving up, I think that is really the way we can go and we have to go with our man-made history in everyday's life. And we do it, or if we know it, if we are aware of it, or not.